Yeah.
You also touched on, mate, that back when you started, you focused heavily on the website and the IT side of things. So what were some of the things that you got up and running, way back then?
Yeah, so things, as part of it, I guess we did a little bit of a rebrand. So we changed a bit of the vehicle signage. We changed the uniform. So we put it out to a bit of a vote. I try to be fairly inclusive. Sometimes you've got to make hard decisions in isolation, but I like to be fairly inclusive because we've got a lot of great franchisees in our network, all different walks of life. And, I'd like to say now up front, I'm very proud of them, of what they've done over the years, but even more proud the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks with what's happened and how they've all stood up, taken it on the chin and just worked their butts off to provide great service to their customers, which is Jim's mantra, is about providing great customer service. So provide great customer service and the business will come and look after itself. And that's sort of what most of the guys do. So obviously very, very proud of that franchisee network.
Yeah, fantastic. So just let's get to that in a sec. So you took over about 28, 30 odd franchises. And so today there's, you said, what, 110?
Yeah. So I guess I set the goal.
So how have you, tell me about your goal.
Yeah, well, back then I had a goal of 100 franchises. I think our competitors back then had around between 70 to 80 franchises. One of them might have had 80 to 90 franchises. So I thought I'm a little bit competitive.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah.
Thought it would be good to have the most pool care franchises in Australia. So I set the goal of 100 over 10 years. I thought that was a reasonable ask that we could grow it.
Yep.
But I always speak to the franchisors that we don't want to grow up for the sake of it. So we really need to be identifying opportunities in select areas, or if there's unserviced work in a city, and we definitely need to be working a bit harder to get some franchises, because I hate the fact that a customer could call up and we can't service them. I don't like that. So we set about growing it from 28 to 100. So, and I've spoken to you about this probably 12 months ago.
Yep.
I probably went through a little bit of a flat spot when we hit 100. I was euphoric. I was at a conference up in where were we? Port Douglas.
Port Douglas, I think you were, yeah.
Yeah, and around that time we had about 3 or 4 guys come on, and one of those guys was the 100th franchisee. So we had a little celebration. And I was euphoric for a couple of weeks after that. I'd finally reached that goal, and then we come back, and conference normally gets me really motivated, and I was really motivated for a week or so, and then I sort of flatlined a little bit after that. I thought, that's a pretty big life goal that I've achieved, and now what do I do next?
Now what?
And I was probably flat, probably for a few months, trying to speak to a lot of people. And now what we're going through, I think a big thing we need to be doing is speaking to lots of people. Try not to waste our time and chop hours of endless conversation, but just speaking to people about key things that matter. So I spoke to a lot of people. I think I even spoke to you in a coaching capacity there for a while. About resetting and coming up with some new goals. Because in hindsight, one thing about setting goals is I'd set a number that I achieved. So I wondered, on reflection, if I'd set a higher goal, would I achieve that? So, I guess learning from you, I've learned to probably set higher goals for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a couple of things I'll say to that is people will set a low goal and run the risk of actually achieving it, right? So they'll set themselves a goal that they can do easily. The other thing is that this happens with a lot of, say, sports people and whatnot, where they have this goal, or Olympians, they have this goal to climb to the top of their mountain, whatever that mountain is. And so your mountain was obviously that 100 franchises, and they haven't got anything beyond that. Right. And so then all of a sudden they go, oh my gosh, I feel incredibly flat. And so the idea is that, and there's no exact number, but when you get around that 75, 80% completion towards your target, you want to think about what's that next thing, so that you don't get to where you did and you have the euphoria and yay, we got to 100. And then it's like, whoa. So you're always constantly just looking over the top of that hill at what's the next hill, what's the next hill, what's the next thing, and constantly then resetting and still celebrating. So it's important to celebrate along the way, as you did with the 100th, but then it's also about, okay, well, cool. Well, that's now, we've done that. let's not rest on our laurels. What's next? Where do I want to take Jim's Pool Care to next? So that's exciting. So mate, really, what do you put down the success of to go from sort of 30 franchises to 110 and who knows like where the future lies? But what do you put the success down to? You touched a little bit on the sort of quality over quantity argument, where you're looking for quality, not just quality as in quality location, but quality of individuals, quality of business owners, versus the other franchise groups have got swept up in just the sheer numbers of it all. So, but what do you put the success down to your business?
Yeah, I guess for me, early on, I identified that quality is important. So you need to be selecting the right people.
Yep.
And not everyone fits into the same mold. So one thing about Jim's Pool Care is we are a diverse bunch of guys.
Yep.
So we've got people from all walks of life, from engineers, bankers, school teachers, tradespeople, people from within the industry have brought into our franchise system as well.
Yep.
So I guess the success for me has come from, I guess, listening to the network. So obviously selecting well. And I think our franchisee team, all 100 of the 110 guys we've got on board now, I think they're great guys.
Yep.
Not everything's not always roses. Sometimes you have some very candid conversations with some of these guys. But one thing we do is we try to create a culture where you can provide feedback.
Yep.
You can take feedback.
Yep.
And with the outcome being that we all benefit from growing each other's business. So look after the brand, look after your own customers, and that's going to benefit everyone else.
Yep.
So I think that open feedback to be able to communicate right the way back through to myself at head office has been good. Getting good suppliers on board. I felt we partnered with the best brands in the industry many years ago.
Yep.
I've had some teething problems over the last 12 months with a couple of suppliers through various reasons, but we're working our way through that.
Yeah.
But that also means I need to be on the lookout to make sure I am, are we still dealing with the best people in the industry? Because if we're dealing with the best people in the industry and the best brands, and we're going to have access to the best products, if the franchisees are well trained, and then we support them ongoing. So ongoing, we have to meet with them, half a dozen times a year, face to face. We encourage all franchisees to attend those meetings.
Okay, great.
The new world might be more online meetings.
Yes.
But that's for two reasons. One's professional development, but two, just maintaining that relationship with the franchisee network. So we all don't have to be best friends in business or in franchising. And some franchisees and franchisors get on a little bit better than others. But as long as we can all be professional and respect each other, I think that's really important. And also important for the franchisee network to know they can call on their franchisor or myself or a supplier if they are in need. So if they are struggling with a particular issue, we've got a way to escalate it. I think the worst thing you can do in franchising is I guess, try and sweep things under the carpet. If there are problems, you've got to try and deal with them. So even recently, there's been differing opinion going on in franchising in Australia, even before what we're going through the last month. And I think that's where a lot of those systems have fallen down, where they mightn't have selected correctly and put people into situations that were not necessarily favourable. And that can tarnish their whole sector and potentially the whole franchising industry as a whole. So I've been working with the industry over the last 12, 18 months on that. So some of the leaders, we meet sort of a couple of times a year and have a chat about what's so good about franchising, how do we make it better? So.
And what, just on that, I mean, because you're right, there have been some well-publicised examples of different franchise groups, doing the wrong thing. So, as a leadership group for franchising in Australia, what are some of the solutions that you guys have come up with?
So the forums I've been going to, we're quite lucky in that we're mobile. So, and even more beneficial right now, we're not in a retail face-to-face environment, which has obviously been devastating for some businesses. My heart really goes out to those businesses who have been impacted, because I know what it's like to grow a business from scratch. So it must be devastating for some of those people. But it is going to be a changing landscape moving forward, the retail world. So that'll be a challenge for small independents and franchising. So some of the things that we've been working on as a industry and as a franchising group are around the best fit for particular businesses within a region. So from a retail perspective, it mightn't be large format stores. It might be small format stores. It might be trying to negotiate more favourable rental conditions. In our space, for example, it's trying to get better deals for the network. So some franchise systems, it can be referred to as third line enforcing. So if I've got a product and I want my franchise network to buy it off me, and they can only buy off me, then it's got to be, it's got to meet a certain criteria. So it's got to be competitively priced, of a certain quality, and be advantageous ultimately to the franchisee. So I think some franchise networks probably ignored that for a while. And franchisees were going out and finding similar and better valued products, which is not a good feeling when you think that the system you've purchased something off is not, whether it's real or perception, you feel that they're not looking after you or don't have your best interests. So with Jim's Pool Care, I've arranged that all the franchisees deal direct with the suppliers. So I try and do the great deals, and they deal direct with the suppliers. Same with, I guess, training and support. So a lot of the feedback over the last couple of years with the problems some of the retail franchises had was around that ongoing training and support. So some systems were probably good at selling franchises, but not good at supporting franchises. So there's a perception of what support is, but they really should be asking the franchisees, what do you think support is? Not, hey, head office is telling you support is this. So we speak to our franchisees in our network, and gyms do it passionately every year. We have a franchisee survey. So 3,800 franchisees get surveyed by Jim. So Jim, and he combs through it, and people find this hard to believe, but Jim's personally involved with going through that survey and identifying franchisors that have provided poor support to their franchisees. So they haven't had meetings or they haven't called them each month. So we've tried to develop a framework in gyms and Jim's Pool Care where we probably over support sometimes. There's definitely opportunities to improve, but sometimes franchisees say, mate, you don't have to call me every month. Like I'm all good. And we just like to say, well, we're here. So
it's comforting, right? It's comforting, given if I'm a franchisee and I've got invested in this business, to know that I'm not on my own. That and like you said, there are other franchise organisations or businesses that it's just about, hey, let's sell the franchise, and now we've got you. Let's go and sell another one and another one. Whereas it sounds to me like you guys are looking for that sustainable relationship where you can grow each other's businesses, and like you said, it benefits everybody as a whole, because now the word gets out that, hey, this gyms generally or broadly, and also Jim's Pool Care specifically, is an amazing place to get involved in. Hey, let's be a part of the success.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think that someone looking to buy a Jim's Pool Care business could speak to any of our franchise network. So we wouldn't necessarily say, hey, you've got to call this one particular guy. You can call any of them. Give any of them a call, and good, bad, and ugly, get some feedback, and see if it is for you. And if it's not for you, that's fine, because it is a long distance relationship we try and build with our franchisees. Long distance as in long time.
Long tenure, I get it.
Long tenure, because we've got to stay in touch with these guys, and we've got to work with them on what their goals are. So we are a flat fee system too, Tony.
Okay.
We're not percentage of turnover. So we're probably a little bit different to a lot of franchise systems. So we want people to grow their business to what their goals are, not what head office goals are. And so that's why we attract people from all walks of life. We've got people who have never dropped off kids at school or picked up kids from school. They've had professional careers and never done that. So opportunity comes up where they can get into a Jim's Pool Care business, and all of a sudden they're saying, Brett, I don't want to work 60 hours a week. I just want to pick the kids up from school every day. And I think that's your goal, so let's work with you on that. You've still got to make some money, mate. You've still got to go out and do, your 4, 5 or 6 jobs a day. But if we can have you knock off by 2:30 to pick up the kids, let's work around that. We've got some guys that just want to make a lot of money, so they'll work 5, 6 days a week, and if the work's there, they'll keep taking it. And so let's work with you on that. That might mean a second van or a staff member or something like that. So it is a good system. So my feedback to the franchising network, as in franchising in general in Australia, and
Yep.
to anyone looking at getting into franchising, is just find out what your existing franchisees need with support.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking at coming into a system and buying a franchise, is speak to the franchisees about what support is being offered and how they feel about that support.
Yep. No,
Definitely speak to lots of people. A lot of people buy businesses without speaking to so much as one other person and I'm just amazed that
crazy.
happens.